That's good.
The next generation, like our generation, we need to show our parents they came here to elevate their lives, but what they don't understand is that the way they're teaching us is as if we're back here as well too from where they started. They've brought us to another level, and because we're here, we're able to see beyond what they've accomplished. When you're here and you're being taught like how to do this shit, it's like it doesn't make sense. You got here, let me pass the torch and let me go explore even further.
Here we go. If you've heard the phrases, bahala na ka sa buhay mo, maarte ka lang, or you're so OA, this video is for you. Mental health is not a thing in the Filipino community. It's not a thing in Filipino households, and that's an issue. You may know of Filipinos being known for nursing. It's upsetting to know that Filipinos aren't known in a positive way about their views on mental health. I know the stigma around mental health is changing, it's evolving. I'm really happy about that, but unfortunately, I don't see that change happening in the Filipino community. So, Dee actually messaged me a picture. I'm not even gonna try saying it. This. I saw that the translation is, toxic family culture is when you don't have a chance to speak about your feelings. Here, in the Philippines, if you bring out resentment, you're rude. When you are young and you are talking to an adult, you're always wrong. Here in the Philippines, you are useless if you haven't proven anything. I feel like that completely sums up the way that Filipinos view mental health, and I'm not happy about that. I'm half Filipino, so I can't speak on what it's like to have grown up in a household where two Filipino parents are there. I know that does make a huge difference culturally, but it doesn't mean that I haven't experienced anything. I decided to have a little fun with something. I wanted to see how people thought about this. I tried to find as many people that were interested. I wanted to get a good mix of people who are male identified, female identified, who are nurses and who are not nurses. And I only asked them 2 questions. I left it completely open. I didn't give them any input. I didn't want to influence their answers in any way. The first question was, how do you think mental health is viewed for Filipinos and Filipino-Americans? The second question, what are your thoughts on the common idea that Filipino-Americans are pressured to go into nursing? Here are some of the responses that I got. That's not all. Question number 2, here are the responses. And here are some more. At first, I thought the responses were going to be short and sweet. I got novels. So regarding the first question, the common answers that I got were, it's viewed negatively, it's viewed as being dramatic or sensitive, it's a sign of weakness, if you don't physically see a problem, then you're fine, the older generations just don't understand what mental health is, no one's allowed to talk about it at home because it's considered taboo, mental health isn't problematic. One that I found the most interesting, it came back to how the family reputation was and how the parents were viewed. For the second question, common themes that I found were a lot of Filipino-Americans were never exposed to any other profession. It's considered the go-to profession for Filipinos. It's gonna provide financial stability. You're always gonna have a job. People are always gonna be sick. Parents may feel like a failure if their child isn't a nurse. If you don't love it, don't do it. That pressure of becoming a nurse leads to a lot of different mental health issues. So it's kind of like a full cycle. A lot of people said that they felt forced into doing something that they don't love. It's a way to find a good job abroad if you are a nurse, and I'll touch on that in just a minute. My point with making this video is that I wanted to open a discussion. It was really important for me to not only highlight and raise awareness around the fact that mental health isn't a thing in the Filipino community, but that it should be, but also to hear out all the different experiences that people had. So taking a step back and explaining the historical context to this. I want to give a little shout out to Patrick James. He gave me a lot of insight on the root of that stereotype and where it may have started. I also want to mention that I don't want to use the word stereotype. I always felt that stereotype was something very negative. I personally don't think that it's a negative thing to be a nurse. I call it the common idea versus a stereotype. He said that historically nursing was the go-to profession for Filipinos who wanted to come to the United States or to Canada. Because of the immigration laws, it was deemed necessary for Filipinos to have a really desirable job for them to easily come to the US or Canada. There was a shortage of nurses in American hospitals, so a lot of Filipinos gravitated towards that career. Because of them choosing nursing to find a job for here, that was the best way for them to find security with their job. They bring that to their children too. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight. Also, I'm reading a lot from my laptop, so excuse me for looking down. A lot of messages and I couldn't memorize all of them. Older generations just don't understand what mental health is and the importance of it, right? It's a generational difference. Got a lot of, they mock younger generations for being weak. Emotion is temporary. Younger generations are a lot more open-minded because it comes with education. The idea that older generations don't really understand mental health ties into the fact that you can't talk about it at home. That Christian, Ian, he was born and raised in the Philippines. His idea differed a lot from other people. All of the people who were Filipino-American agreed that it was mostly conversations about school or academic. How's school? Good. Are your grades doing all right? Good. But for Ian, he mentioned that you have problems, you can go to your family and your friends and your neighbors. It also ties into the idea of why go and see a therapist? Why go and spend that money to see a psychiatrist or a therapist when you can just go to your friends and family and you'll feel better afterwards? So yeah, it's a cultural difference, it's a generational difference, but where do you find that middle where both parties can be happy with the outcome? I thought that it was interesting that a lot of people talked about it being a sign of weakness. As I said before, I wanted to hear a lot of male identified opinions on this too. With men in general, there's this idea of toughness, that men have to be tough, they have to be manly, and that's like what defines what a man is, right? A lot of them said that when they talked to their parents, they said that something was wrong. Their parents would say, you have to man up, tough it out. It's wrong to feel that way, which is mind-blowing because it's not wrong to feel certain ways. If anything, it's just the behaviors that you have as a response to those feelings. If they harm other people, that's when it becomes wrong. I don't know if this is just me being me. Being able to express that something is wrong is a sign of strength. But in reality, every single person knows that every single person goes through something. I don't know, maybe the idea of that if you don't physically see a problem, then you're fine, comes with working in a hospital and having to be very hands-on with patients who have those physically visible issues. One thing that made me really sad was the reputation. The idea that your child is not strong mentally, the family reputation is going to be hindered, or the way that the parents raise their children is going to be questioned. I have seen it at family parties. The titos and titas would respond with how their children are doing or how their cousins are doing and how other people are so successful in like the nursing program. It's really interesting to go to family parties and see the titos and titas talking about their own children or not talking about their children. I feel like not talking about your child says a lot in itself too. But that comparison of other cousins, that bragging pressure, it all ties in to how mental health is damaged. Because all you can think about is, I want to make my parents proud. So you do the things that you think they would like. Your parents talk all the time about how they want you to be a nurse and how it's going to be so successful, and they talk so highly about it, even though you know that's not what you want to do. But you care about them so much and you want them to be so happy that you were willing to sacrifice your own happiness, your own dreams for them. I think that's a little toxic. As much as the intentions are there, it's not right on both sides. And I want to change that. I want to be a part of the change. Oh. Okay. There we go. Oh, you got a little behind the scenes there. There were two specific answers that stuck out to me the most. One of them was Janelle. She was the only person that mentioned anything about religion. She said that in Filipino culture, religion is usually the answer to everything. Also, my pledge mom, Hazel, in her opinion, Filipino women are expected to be martyrs. They see their moms and dads busting their butts when they're kids, and they have a hard time checking in on their kids. So she has realized now that she's a mother and she's also a nurse. She busts her butt every day and she never really checks in with herself. Also made her think that the measure of success for Filipinos is tangible. The decree of pure happiness and mental stability doesn't stand a chance against a six-figure job, marriage, a house, a car, kids, and it's a really sad thought. So, for the second question, my grandma was pressuring my mom to go into nursing, and my mom hated it. She was in nursing school, she absolutely despised it. She, I believe, dropped out, but she still got a job working at a hospital. And because of that, my mom never put that pressure on me and my two older sisters, and I'm actually very thankful for it, in a good and bad way. There's this idea that if your child is not a nurse, then your reputation is just gonna be shot, right? Leanne really hit the nail on the head for what I was thinking. Her whole point was, if you don't love it, don't do it. Can you imagine being a patient in a hospital, nurse walks in and they hate their life? There's something completely different from the older generations that absolutely love their job when they walk in the room and they just bring this whole positive energy. You want that over someone who's a lot younger, probably only thinking about the other things that they could be doing aside from their specific job as a nurse, right? I know this is a little bit controversial. I have yet to see someone who is absolutely in love and so passionate about nursing who makes well over six figures without breaking their back. She mentioned that people always talk about it's an easy way to make money and they think schooling is easy and once you're a nurse, you're set. But if people are going into it just because they want that financial stability rather than the love for helping people, don't do it. I see a lot of my nursing friends working really hard, but still wanting more. It brings me back to my point of, do you want that kind of help if someone's not genuine about it? But I do have a lot of respect for older generations who it was their number one goal to out of poor living conditions, and they made these decisions for themselves to give their children all of these opportunities, right? They're now putting these standards, expectations, and pressures on their children to do the same exact thing, the same exact way. It's okay to have that same goal of wanting to be somewhere so much better than where you are now, but that doesn't mean that the path that you have to take is going to be the same. Oh yeah, I almost missed this one. Do it while you figure out what you want to do. I can't comprehend this one. I'm in graduate school right now, and I can't imagine having to pay to go to school only to use that job to pay off that school to then find out what it is that I want to do and potentially go to school again. To me, that's time wasted. That's happiness wasted. I know that this is a controversial topic. I would hope that it opens a discussion rather than an argument or a debate. So let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are on some of the common thoughts on mental health for Filipinos, or just on that idea of Filipino-Americans being pressured to go into nursing. I would love to be able to provide a space for you to openly talk about it, especially if it holds true that you come from a place where it's not really accepted or it is considered taboo. So yeah. If you're interested in mental health, if you are interested in sports psychology or mental health in sport, if you're interested in knowing what it's like being a dual degree student right now in clinical mental health counseling and sport and human performance, hit the subscribe button, comment below your thoughts on this. If you don't feel like subscribing, but you still want to follow me and see what I'm up to, feel free to follow me on Instagram. My handle is intricate. I hope that you have a great day. I hope that you're staying safe and healthy. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching.